Hopefully. So stay right here. Chicago Now is next.
Good morning, everybody. Anthony, I gotta say, this past weekend, I feel like it was prime winter weather to get outside.
Yeah.
It was beautiful. The snow was on the ground. It was so bright and sunny. The temperatures, they weren't terrible. We were in the 20s.
Did you get your kids outside?
We went sledding yesterday.
You did?
We went sledding.
I couldn't get my youngest to want to do that. He likes playing his Legos a lot.
Yeah, I get it.
That's all he wants to do.
Okay, so we went to this nature center. My dream, we were talking about our dreams last week about like what we want to do when we retire and stuff. I went to this nature center in Will County, which by the way, highly recommend. It's the Good and Now Nature Center, Plum Creek Nature Center. They've got so many activities for kids, but inside, outside, that's where we went to go sledding. And you can rent these tubes for $2 a piece and go down the hill. Anyways, in their main area, it's like this big kind of, I would describe it as like an auditorium where it has like, it's not that big. Like it's not as big as an auditorium, but tall ceilings, lots of windows, sunshine. You can see the birds and the trees on the outside. That is like my dream come true, is if I could have like a sunroom with windows. Do you know what I mean?
Of that magnitude.
And then you could do your magnetiles whilst feeling like you're outside.
Outside?
It's like a 2-for-1. You know what I mean?
That does sound nice.
Yeah.
That does sound nice.
Like
and it was
control,
nice to see the sunshine.
It was beautiful.
And we're inching warmer.
Inching warmer. Next week, Monday, forecasted to be in the 40s. We could actually see above freezing temperatures by the end of this week.
I mean, you said today, yeah, it's going to be at the 20s. It's going to feel good. And you're right. The 20s, given what we've gone through, the 20s actually do feel like reasonable.
Like you could go outside.
Tolerable.
Yes. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But you know what else I thought? When we went sledding, first of all, that is a workout, okay? I was also carrying my 4-year-old on my back up the hill. My legs and butt were...
It's a good workout.
Exhausted. It felt like I was going
uphill.
Like the Stairmaster.
With weight,
With the weight. And then you get to the top and you're not cold, you're hot. And then laying down in the snow and looking up at the blue sky and...
4 years old is an interesting age in terms of the carrying, because you still find yourself carrying the 4-year-olds.
I threw her on my back.
5-year-olds doesn't really happen. They're pretty mobile themselves. But it's like the last year, I think, where that will happen regularly, because they get heavy. They're like in the 40-pound range, right?
Well, Darcy is also,
That's not nothing.
She looks like she's 2. Her body is a 2-year-old, but she's 4. People meet her, they're like, wait, how old is she?
Really?
Yeah, she's itty.
That's cute.
She's itty bitty. Bodie, my 1.5-year-old's about as big as she is.
That's cute.
That's where we were the weekend. I hope you had a good weekend. I hope you got outside, enjoyed the snow. You know, it's beautiful. You went skiing, didn't you?
Theo did. He had his lesson, and it was apparently an epic success. I did not chauffeur this time. My brother handled it because he went with his cousin, and they had a blast.
Great.
They're ready. I don't know what this means because I've never been up to Wilmot, but they're ready for the big hill.
So
that's what they both say.
That's great.
Which is great.
Not the Black Diamond,
Such a
but
success.
maybe like
not the Black Diamond, maybe the green circle and chair lifts and everything.
That's very exciting.
Let's start off though this hour by talking about the real estate market. We are joined by Chicago real estate expert, Mr. Matt Laracy. Good to see you, sir. I believe this is our first check-in of the year.
Yeah.
Of 2026. Yes. I want to make sure we have your audio, though, Matt.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes,
we got you. We got you.
Perfect.
Okay.
We're a month in, by the way, so it's, you know, it's been moving.
It's been moving. Chicago's housing market gaining national attention after local home prices increased 11 times faster than the national average in the month of December. 11 times fast. Does that sound right to you, Matt?
It does. You know, we kind of anticipated that we would have probably one of the hottest holiday markets in recent history, and that came to fruition. One of the things that we thought would happen was that we would see extremely low inventory with a little bit of a dip in the rates, and that just spurred activity. You know, we got a lot of people moving back to Chicagoland, right? I call them the boomerang buyers. People who moved away during the pandemic, They moved to Florida and Texas and Idaho and all these states that people have never heard of. And, they're creatures of habit, and they had to come back. And the fact that there just isn't that much inventory in the market anywhere in the Chicagoland area kind of boosted prices upwards.
Okay, but why now? They're coming back after COVID, but why now?
Well, I don't think it's just December in general. I just think it's, our December outperformed most other places in the country. And it's just because, there's just no inventory and there's still a lot of demand. So people are coming back, and there's a lot of people getting called back to work, right? And they have to be back in the office, and they want to get a leg up on 26. So I know we had a huge portion of buyers that got relocated in Q4, and we're just desperate to find whatever they could because they got to be back in the office, starting January 2nd.
Wow. So compare Chicago with other locations, those states you mentioned that very few people have even heard of. Is there just less demand there and more inventory in other parts of the country?
Well, one theory that we've been having for a while is that, when some of the other, let's call it the warm climate states, start to kind of fall, that cities would start rising up again. And we definitely kind of saw that come to fruition. And I think a lot of it just has to do with the fact that, we're hearing a lot of, especially our older clientele, say that they'll take snow over hurricanes all day. And I just think a lot of people are getting kind of sick of, the states they move to. It's not where they're from originally, and they feel more comfortable being from Chicago, where creatures of habit. And, those cities or those states are starting to kind of fall a little bit because they gained a lot of people during the pandemic years, and now people are moving back to where they came from.
Okay, so obviously we're at a little bit of a peak right now with prices. Usually I feel like it's a time to sell in the spring or in the summer when kids are getting out of school. Do you think that if there is perhaps somebody who's watching who wants to buy, they should buy now because it's just going to get more expensive in those spring and summer months? Or should they wait and see if this is just a peak that's going to be dying down now that everybody's going back to work, as you mentioned?
Well, I mean, the problem is most people have your mentality where you mentioned that, hey, the best time to sell is when the kids are out of school, et cetera. The best time to sell is January 2nd. So from January 2nd to the end of May is when you have the most sales in Chicagoland. And the peak season where you get the most money is pretty much mid-January till mid-March. Those are the best months to sell, because that's when you have the lowest inventory and you have the highest demand, right? You have three types of buyers. You have the backlog buyers. So you have buyers right now who've been looking since last quarter and they just haven't been able to see something. You have the New Year resolution, so the New Year, New Me buyers. So the buyers who finally decided this is going to be their year to buy. And then you have the rental cycle buyers, right? So people whose leases are coming due end of March, April, May, first part of June, and they have to buy. So you have peak demand and you have the lowest inventory. So, prices are just going to keep going up. And if you think prices are going to soften throughout the year, you got another thing coming, because, what's overpriced today is underpriced tomorrow. So when the prices get pushed up during the first quarter, which they do, in the second quarter, when those listings hit, they're just going to go off the first quarter comps and they're going to push upwards. I
got several friends that are in that boat too. What was overpriced years ago is now underpriced. They would have killed for that price.
Oh, no.
Matt,
Right.
Which neighborhoods or suburbs are seeing the most price pressure right now?
If we're looking in the city neighborhoods, Lincoln Park is hands down the most expensive. Lincoln Park, think of Lincoln Park like a Louis Vuitton purse. It's just there. It's expensive. It's hot. Everybody wants it. And the comps just don't matter there. Comps doesn't matter. Money doesn't matter in Lincoln Park. People are just willing to pay what they get. We're seeing, properties go $200,000 or $300,000 over ask price. $200,000 or $300,000. I saw one over the weekend that was, the people paid $800,000 for it just 2 years ago, just sold for 1.2. I mean, you don't see that anywhere else in the city.
Yeah.
At the same time, you're seeing a lot of the price in the suburbs in your higher net worth areas. So your Hinsdale areas and anywhere on the North Shore is where you're seeing the prices go up the most. Like you've seen in Winnetka, you had a couple of sales that were, surpassed $34 million, right? Which we've never seen before. So what we're seeing is extreme wealth move back to the States, and they're moving back to those high net worth areas. And that's what's pushing the price upwards in those, wealthy suburb areas.
That's what my question was going to be, is everything is so expensive these days, and maybe there was a slight dip in interest rates, but the interest rates are still, they're in 6+. So that's kind of surprising to me. Do you think that there's investors, out-of-state buyers that are influencing these prices as well?
The out-of-state buyers that are buying here are doing it like more for part-time. We don't see what you see in like Florida or New York or California, where you get international money that comes in and they're pretty much just like washing their cash and getting money in America and buying a $40 million place and keeping it vacant. Like I'm sure it happens. We just don't see it that much. Most of the people who do buy that are like quote unquote investors would be like empty nesters who want to have a place in the Chicagoland area for a part-time use, and then they'll get something in like Arizona or Florida. But we do not get that. I get people all the time who are like, hey, are these big corporations when they're buying or anything like that? Like, I've never seen a big corporation buy up a bunch of real estate in the Chicagoland area, and we don't see like a huge influx of like out of state or out of country investors. And honestly, I don't think we will, just because of our taxes. They don't like the cash flow return that they get back on their investments. And there's other cities and states that have a higher return for them, and that's more attractive for them.
Put today's interest rates. Caitlin mentioned it's hovering in the 6 range right now. Where that ranks in context with where it has been the last couple of years and where you expect it to be in the rest of 2026?
Well, I mean, like, we can look at that the average interest rate in America has always been around 6.5%. You could lock in that like 6.2-ish right now. And if you did like some sort of ARM, you could get below 6 with some companies. So, I think that we're going to continue to see interest rates inch downwards. I mean, the current administration is very bullish on getting these rates down. There's going to be a new Fed chair probably. It's been all over the news. So, and their main goal, all they ever talk about is they want rates to go down. So I do think that we should see rates probably go in the low 6s, high 5s. I think that's very realistic for 26. And I do think that's going to spur more action and activity. But the reality is that, anybody that's out there that's waiting for the rate to drop, like, that's like the worst strategy. Because the minute those rates drop below 6, and they did like a couple weeks ago, like, the demand spurred and went crazy. People like completely overpaid to get in to be able to lock in that rate. It's like, well, if you would have just bought rates were 6.5, you got the price for cheaper anyways.
Right.
So like, don't worry about the rate. Just worry about getting a place and then refinance whenever the rate drops. Like, you got to pay, extra interest for a year or 2 years or 3 years. I mean, if you plan on living in this place for a long time, like, the rate doesn't really make a difference. It really doesn't. Right? Because 3 years ago, the rates were 3%, right? I mean, that's not happening again. But, if they drop back down to 4 or 5 and you get a lower price, like, just refinance later on.
Mm-hmm.
So would you say, Matt, obviously, then if someone is in the market to buy their first place, don't buy out of your price range hoping that the rates will drop and then you can afford it. You have to buy within your means right now, correct?
Yeah, correct. But I also think that, like, the big problem that a lot of people that are looking to buy right now is that, like, they draw their line in the sand at the price, and then they look at places that are up to their max budget, and then they never find a place, right? So meaning that, like, your max budget is $750,000, and so you're only looking at places that are priced at $750,000. But on average, in the spring season, which is now, so now it's the end of March, or I'm sorry, now it's the end of May, like, prices are only going to keep going upward. So if something comes out at $750, it's most likely going to sell for a minimum of like $825. So like, places go anywhere from $50,000 to $80,000 over ask price. So, if you're looking at $750, you need to be thinking to yourself, okay, well, the place is really asking $825. Do I like it $825? And so if your max budget is $750, you should really be targeting properties around $650 because they're just going to get bid upwards. And what a lot of smart sellers do is they ask less to get more, right? So you ask less to get more, meaning that, like, if your place is worth $750,000, I don't want to price it at $750. I want to price it at like $725, maybe even $700. Because then you drive up a crazy bidding war, and that's why when you guys see these things close out at 100,000 over, when your friends are complaining like, "Wow, everything's overpriced, it's selling way over ask," like, well, not really, because what we're doing is we're getting 150 people in there that first weekend, we're getting 50 offers on it, and then we're able to choose our terms. Rather than price it too high, and then if you miss the market in a really hot, seller's market, then people think there's something wrong with it, even though there's not. It's just like a bad strategy, and then you end up selling for less than what your property's worth.
Is that a typical situation where you might have literally dozens of offers on a specific place?
I've had 5 of my own listings this weekend that had over 20 offers on it.
Wow.
5 listings in one weekend? You are a hot commodity there.
What is the major factor driving such low inventory here in Illinois?
I think it's a fewfold. I think, first off, that we have to realize that, we still have a tale of two cities, right? So the downtown markets has too much inventory, right? Like, I just did the stats. If you're looking above $1 million, you got 6.9 months of inventory. If you're looking below $1 million, you're hovering around 4 months of inventory. So 4 months is balanced. So, like, we have too much inventory downtown, okay? Now, some price points and things like that are still moving rather quickly, but there's a surplus for sure in the downtown markets. And what that's doing is that's pushing buyers who would buy in the city, or in the heart of the downtown area, to go buy into the outskirts. So that's everywhere outside the immediate downtown area. And that's creating less inventory because you have more demand. And then what we're seeing from there is that, like, the people who want to sell in the outskirts, they want to move to the suburbs, right? And then there's not enough money, inventory in the suburbs, because the people in the suburbs that would sell, because think about, like, who's likely to sell in the suburbs. A lot of them are going to be empty nesters, right? Those empty nesters want to sell their place, and they get a place in, like, Florida or Arizona or Texas. But the problem with that is, like, those prices have gotten so far out of reach that they can't really make that move just yet. And on top of it, a lot of those people, the empty nesters, would buy downtown. And the people that want to buy downtown don't believe in our leadership, and they still think, like, crime is a problem in the downtown market. So they're a little bit gun shy to make that move. So that's making them stay put for longer. Yeah. So it's kind of like this just domino effect of how this all interacts. That's why I watch what's happening in Florida and Texas and Arizona and California and all these markets, and internationally, because all markets are intertwined. And if you understand that, that's how you can kind of predict where the market's going to go. And one of the reasons why we are starting to see just a little bit of, like, loosening up in the suburb areas is because Florida's market's starting to drop. I mean, like, some parts of Florida have 18, 20 months of inventory into buyer's market in some areas. And those prices that were $1 million went up to $3 million a couple years ago are now back down to, like, maybe $2 million. So it's getting in reach for those people again.
Okay, so speaking of keeping your ear to the pulse of what's going on, policy changes or market shifts that could make a difference, what are you thinking?
I think the biggest thing that we need to watch out for is just the overall economy. Watch that stock market. If it continues to go at a high, we're going to see a very strong market. If it does take a big dip, there's always, if you ever go on, like, any social media, right, like, you doom scroll, there's always people that's like, the end is near of this coming up. I mean, like, listen, you take a big dip in the stock market, it's going to hit the high-end luxury market, which means not only does the high-end luxury market get hit when the economy takes a hit, but the entry-level market takes a hit. And people don't realize, because, like, a lot of people who are buying their first-time place, they're influenced by their parents. And if their parents, like, just wiped out 25% of their portfolio, they're going to tell their kids, well, this is not the good time to buy, you're going to want to rent. So that's going to be one to watch this spring, is, like, what's going on with the stock market. The other thing to kind of really pay attention to, like you mentioned earlier, is the rates. We get a new Fed chair and the rates drop down below 6. Giddy up. I mean, it's going to be insane. But I don't expect we're going to see anything in the stock market. My prediction going in this year, that 26 would go down as the greatest year in Chicago history for sales. I compared 25 and 26. It's going to be like 5 and 6 for Chicago. And I think it's going to be insane. And anybody that's out there that's looking to buy, it's going to be tricky. We're going to have low inventory in almost all areas. Prices are going to be up, and you're going to have to be competitive and on your A game. And the problem is, if you don't end up buying, guess what? You're just going to rent, and rents are an all-time high. So it's kind of like a lose-lose situation.
In the short term, though, with inventory higher downtown, are there good deals to be found between now and March if you are willing to look downtown?
This is the second best time in your lifetime to buy downtown. First best time would have been last year. This is I think I was on here last year. I said, this is your 2011 moment to buy downtown. Now it's your 2012 moment. Like, I mean, like, it's on sale. It's a Nordstrom anniversary sale downtown. Everything's on a discount. People, like, I have listings right now that, people paid 1.7, 1.8 million for, that are now on the market for 1.3, and we don't get a showing, right? Wow. Like, at the same time, like, you look at somebody that paid 1.7 in Lincoln Park, it goes on the market for 2.5 and sells for 3 million. Like, Dang. That happens. Like, that's a big difference. It's a big difference. Look at the West Loop. I mean, just look at the prices there. West Loop was one of the hottest areas in the country. Now it's like one of the worst areas in the country. West Town is more expensive than West Loop. Doesn't make any sense. So, yeah, if anybody out there wants a deal, or you want kind of some price relief, just buy in the city. Just buy in the downtown markets.
My question to you, Matt, is you are a wealth of knowledge. If someone's watching, they don't have a realtor, where should they go about finding the right realtor for them to help them?
I think the best thing you do is try to do some research, ask some friends, figure out who's best for you, but also make sure that your agent is understanding and can talk intelligently about the market that you're looking to buy in, right? Everything's hyper local. You can't put me in, like, Minnesota and, like, have me be able to tell you what's happening in the marketplace, right? So the best thing you do is do some online research. You can look at people's reviews and see how many sales they have in a certain area, and then ask them questions of what they know has been selling and what the trends have been, and you should be able to kind of figure out who's best for you from there.
All right.
Matt Laracy, thank you very much for your time and expertise as always, sir.
Well, no problem at all. And one last thing for everybody that's out there that is a little bit upset about inventory, remember that the day after the Super Bowl is the unofficial announce of the kickoff of the spring market for some people. There's an article many years ago about that. So you will see a big wave of inventory hit starting after the Super Bowl. So at least keep an eye out to see some more options hit soon.
There you go.
I love that.
My agent told me the same thing when we were in the market. Matt, thank you so much.
Cool. Thanks, guys. Have a good day.
All right, you too, you too.
It'd be so fun to be a realtor, wouldn't it?
I mean, when I do think about kind of alternative career paths and everything, we've had so much fun kind of browse. We're like those we like Zillow, and then we've redone a couple of houses now, and so yeah, it is always kind of enticing.
Yeah.
We're not like house flippers or anything, but we have enough experience now that, yes, I agree with you. It is kind of one of those like, oh, that'd be fun.
It's always fun to just look at homes. I don't know.
For sure, for sure. All right, we have some new, when it comes to events.
Yeah.
Some new trends are expected to really hit here in 2026. Eventbrite is a company that has its finger on the pulse. They provide the infrastructure behind a lot of events, from festivals and concerts to, you know, street fairs, all kinds of things. And there's some trends that are underway, specifically with regard to the younger generation, what they're being drawn to and what they're being, like, what they're saying, nuh-uh, we don't want this. And so after this break, we're going to be speaking with the head of curation and trends for Eventbrite about what we can expect to see with these events in 2026. Caitlin, I'm wondering how much like digital detox is going to have to do with these trends.
So this is really focused on Gen Z and millennials. Are you a millennial?
I'm like a cusper, yeah. I guess technically I might be an 11. I'm 1978.
Okay.
So I'm not Gen X, and I think technically I'm a millennial, but I don't really think of myself as one.
I was going to say, I'm definitely a millennial, so I was wondering if our opinions after seeing this study that they did, this social study, is going to be different.
We'll have to.
We'll dive in.
We'll dive in after this.
Welcome back. Just about 10:24. So Global Events Marketplace, Eventbrite, just released its first social study showing how Gen Z and millennials are shaping live experiences in 2026. And it found some interesting trends. So joining us this morning is Rudy Greenberg, Eventbrite's head of curation and trends. Thanks for joining us, Rudy.
Thanks for having me, Caitlin and Anthony.
Yeah. Okay, so let's dig into this. First of all, What drew you guys to this study? Because I could imagine, Anthony even mentioned, maybe it's the younger generation wanting to get away from cell phones, away from technology. Was that something that kind of put off the lights for you guys to say, we got to look at what we're doing and see what needs to change?
Sure, sure. Well, I think our social study report really looks at how Gen Z and millennials are redefining live experiences, right? And so there's this theme that came out of it that we've called the reset to real, which captures a cultural shift back to live experiences that feel human, they feel unfiltered, they feel alive, less time on screens, as you mentioned, Anthony. Like, people are really craving presence, they're craving participation, and shared experiences again. They want moments that feel spontaneous, that feel participatory, and that feel real. They're really looking to try to find meaningful connection again, and one of the best ways to do that is through an event with other people in your community.
Before we dive into what those events might look like here in 2026, Rudy, can you run us through kind of the methodology of this social study and how you guys went about gathering this info?
Sure, sure. So, we worked with an agency that surveyed Gen Z and millennials to kind of get the pulse on what they're looking for in events. And, we found some really interesting things from that study. I think that after years of digital saturation, for example, young adults are prioritizing real world connection. So we found that like nearly half want events that feel less curated and more authentic. And nearly half of Gen Z is also trying to limit screen time. And 3/4 are saying that in-person experiences actually matter more than digital ones. So 74% are actually like really wanting to do that in-person thing over the digital experience that I think a lot of that generation has grown up doing. They've spent so much of their lives online, and now they want to get back out there and experience it with other people.
Okay, so planning an event, I feel like spontaneous and being real and letting people connect, that's a lot of pressure. What are you seeing, or like tips and advice to these people who are trying to plan these events and to not make it too planned? Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, do you guys have a guide?
Yeah, we do. You can read our report, and we actually have in our social study report something that's just for event organizers, which is great. So they can kind of find that advice in there. I mean, some of the things that we advise is to really craft something that feels real and participatory. So like, let people contribute and engage hands-on, or connect to something rather than just observing, right? So maybe it's a DIY class where you're sitting alongside someone and you're actually making something. Maybe it's a volunteering event where you're doing something in your community. In terms of like the unscripted nature of things, like, we want people to balance surprise with structure. So maybe put it at a unique venue, or have some kind of like unexpected moments that might pop up, but still make it kind of clear that people like understand what they're getting into. We don't want people to be like totally caught off guard, obviously. And there's also ways to kind of like thoughtfully bundle experiences, using kind of word of mouth and local creators to make events feel credible and worthwhile.
You use the phrase soft socializing. I'm curious what that means, and also what it means to have an event that is less curated. Let's do some definitions here. Soft socializing, and then what does it mean to be less, for an event to be less curated?
Yeah, well, I think soft socializing is really all about like low pressure connection, right? So connection without pressure is kind of the new social currency in a lot of ways. This generation wants relationships to develop naturally. Something that's easy to do at events where socializing is optional but encouraged, right? And so maybe that's a silent book club. And a silent book club is something where people all kind of read whatever book they want. They read silently, and then they can talk after. And you don't have to talk about the book. You don't have to talk about reading at all. It can just be a way to meet people. Or if you don't want to talk, you can just kind of hang out in the corner, whatever you want to do. Some of those DIY classes, like a flower arranging class, something where you're like working alongside someone else, maybe you can call it like parallel play, if you will, where you're kind of both doing the same thing, and maybe you chat about it, maybe you don't. There's actually a great example of soft socializing in Chicago, Snakes and Lattes. I don't know if either of you have ever been there. It's a board game cafe built around play with kind of immersive private rooms, a legendary board game vault, and a menu made for sharing. So like this place doesn't force interaction, right? People can dive into trivia nights, they can do puzzle competitions, they can meet up for like trading games or cards, or you can just hang out for a casual game night. Like that's what really makes it special and what makes it a great place for soft socializing. Like people get to choose how much or how little they want to engage, and the space just kind of naturally brings people together. So you can make that connection, you can meet someone new, or you can just have fun on your own terms.
Okay, so you just mentioned a whole lot of things that we could do. Soft socializing, yeses. All right, let's go to the no's. What events are the young folks not interested in anymore?
Well, I think they're less interested in things that feel kind of staid, that feel kind of a little maybe too curated to put together, right? So I think like an example that we found that people are interested in is something called off-script energy, that we've called it that, which is like people are gravitating toward events that kind of have a little bit of unpredictability to them, right? So maybe it's a rooftop happy hour DJ set, or it's a comedy show in a barbershop, right? Something you don't expect. And so if you give some people something that they like do expect, that's maybe not going to be the thing that they're drawn to. They kind of, I think 79% of young adults are actually valuing spontaneity over something that's perfectly planned, perfectly curated. They seek something that kind of like gives them a little bit of a jolt of the unexpected. Yeah.
That makes total sense. That
it's
actually
so hard
makes.
to do, though.
Yeah, it is, because it's about finding that Goldilocks zone of hey, we're going to an event, it's planned, but leaving room for it to unfold, unfold organically,
and surprise them.
Yeah,
they don't want to
exactly.
not be surprised, Anthony.
Thank you very much, Rudy. Interesting stuff. Wait, and just so we know, with regard to Eventbrite as a global events marketplace, what kinds of event, because I'm always clicking on, if I click on something, it'll take me to Eventbrite, but I'm having trouble thinking offhand about all the kinds of different events that you guys have your platform in.
Well, the cool thing about Eventbrite is that we kind of have events for everyone. My job is actually to help people find those events, and so we have a team of real human curators who actually go and find all of these events that we like to highlight as some of the most compelling events. So actually in Chicago, you can go to our Eventbrite app, and we have a feature called It Lists, and you'll find an It List for each of the trends in our social study report. So you'll find events that are all about off-script energy, like we've talked about. You'll find events for soft socializing, like we've also talked about. We also have show up to shape it events, and those are events where people maybe want to be more active in their community, like volunteering, doing a beach cleanup or something like that. Like we have a curated list of volunteering events, things like that. There's also this real drive toward people wanting to connect to their neighborhood. And so we have a neighborhood revival list, which is all about events where you can feel a little closer to your community. And so maybe they're attending a block party. I think last year 600,000 people in the US attended block parties on Eventbrite, and so we've curated Chicago, I know, is a great place for block parties and street festivals, or maybe you want to catch a local band at a local venue. And then we also have Layers Not Labels, which is a really fun one. So this is kind of our like mashup events kind of thing. And so as culture gets more fragmented and people kind of retreat into their niches, we're actually seeing an increase in excitement around events that blend multiple interests. So maybe that's crafting and cocktails events or mashup raves. There's this big, maybe you both are aware of Heated Rivalry, the romance hockey show, and people love that show, and we're seeing this huge increase in Heated Rivalry raves and dance parties where fans of the show can kind of get together and talk about the show and also dance to the kind of like recent retro soundtrack. That's a big part of it.
So much variety. All right, Rudy Greenberg, thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Appreciate you both.
All right, it's an exciting time with the White Sox right now. I know they had their festival last weekend, but this next event, they're about to have their signing day for a really cool program that matches up student athletes with mental health, education, and of course, athletics. And so after this short break, we're going to speak with Troy Williams, who is an ACE coach and a student athlete who's part of this program leading to Chicago White Sox ACE signing day, Mr. Amir Rule. They're both here in studio. We're going to be talking with them when we come back.
Pay attention.
Welcome back. So the Chicago White Sox are helping local black youth get set up for success through their ACE program, which offers resources for mental health, education, and athletics. They get a warm welcome into the program through signing day, which is happening this week. So here to tell us more about it is Troy Williams. He's an ACE coach. And then we have Amir Rule, who is a student athlete. So thanks for coming in this morning, gentlemen.
Yeah, thank you for having us. Yeah.
So we just kind of got the short about what this program is. So in case you have never heard of ACE, can we first ask you, Troy, to describe what ACE is?
Yeah, ACE is a travel baseball program. We've been around since 2007. We carry about 150 Chicago youth every year with the goal to train them up athletically, get them ready to compete, take them to the best tournaments in the country, and ultimately with the goal of them getting a scholarship to go to college.
So that's really cool. So, and the kids who enter the program are all in the 12-year-old range?
Yeah, so they usually start about 11 or 12. Amir's been with us since he was 11, and you know, now he's on his way out, and he's got some important news to share with you guys.
Let's hear it, Amir.
So this this upcoming Wednesday, I will be committed to Mouse College in Alabama. It's a small HBCU, but ready to play, get my name out there, and compete at the highest level in college.
Congratulations, man! That is huge. What position do you play in baseball?
I play first base and I pitch. So
Wow.
First base and pitcher. Oh my
Fantastic.
gosh!
Okay, so we got to know, Amir, you've been with this program since you were tiny.
Yes.
Can you talk about your experience through the years?
My experience has been a lot. You know, growing up, I wasn't always the best kid. I was one of the slowest kids, so I always had to work hard, work extra hard, and coaches kind of told me, you don't have to be #1 in the country at 12 years old. You know, you want to be the best person you could be when you're 17 coming out of the program and finding out, you know, what you want to do besides baseball. Coach Troy kind of taught me one day, was like, you know, baseball isn't always here forever, but you can always still be around baseball like he is.
Yeah, absolutely. And what was your experience, out of curiosity, before you were 12? How long had you been playing baseball, if at all, before you entered the ACE program?
I was playing baseball since I was 8 years old, kind of. Well, I didn't like really playing basketball, football. It was too much running. But basically, baseball just kind of taught me, like, it's a mental side, it's a process. You're not going to get the exact result you want right now, but you're going to get it. And I kind of just stuck with it, fell in love with it ever since.
I love that. Okay, Troy, can you talk about how you have seen this program change these kids' lives?
Yeah, I mean, I can speak from it from a couple different levels. I was actually on the first team in 2007, and I can sit in front of you today. I don't think I go to college without this program. So I played at Alcorn State University, which is in Mississippi, HBCU.
Who was was it Steve McNair?
Steve McNair.
Yeah, that's right.
Donald Driver, Steve.
That's right, okay.
Yeah. Came back, and it was a no-brainer to coach. You know, I was kind of raised on paying it forward. Like, my parents always instilled that in me. So to be able to come back and coach and now leading the program is just special for me. It's full circle, you know. So that's kind of my story, and I've seen it grow exponentially over the last 15 years.
How does it work in terms of a time commitment? We did a segment last week about how so many parents are just like wildly crazy with like all these events and travels and, you know, going out to the distant far suburbs for these games. But what kind of commitment are these athletes making when they sign with the ACE program?
We have a mantra, and we say ACE never sleeps. Literally, these guys put in so much work. And it's a large commitment for the parents too, to be able to sit through the long practices and the long drives on the weekend. And we spend so much time with them. They are an extension of family, and we're truly just a familiar organization. The network that they leave when they leave this program, they have brothers. We talk about the brotherhood, and you know, for us, we want to make sure that we're preparing them for life after baseball.
Amir, I want to hear about so we got the athletics part, but the education and the mental health. How have you seen those two different areas impact you and others?
So academic-wise, they have helped me out. When I was a kid, we did ACT tutoring, and as I took the ACT last year, so I had a lot of tips, a lot of strengths. And academic-wise, you know, the coaches always ask you, what do your grades look like? And it's like, they tell you, if you don't have good grades, you're not going to play. So that kind of instilled in me, like, you have to be an athlete and an academic warrior. So that kind of helped me out growing up. But as the mental side, you know, baseball is a tough sport, and we had a mental health advocate. His name was Dr. Fish. He helped us like advocate throughout the whole program, and basically just taught us like, you're going to fail, it's life. So I kind of just took that as a reminder for myself, like, if I'm failing, oh well, you have to pick it back up. You're going to pick it back up eventually.
Amir, what advice would you have so you're the success story. You're the you know, coming at 12, you're signed, you're going off to college, right? What would you have wanted to know at age 12 as we prepare to welcome a new class of young, you know, student athletes? What would you say to these young boys?
Don't compare yourself to everybody else. When I was growing up, you know, I wanted to be a shortstop, but I'm left-handed. I can't be a shortstop. My friend Derek Holmes, he was a shortstop. He was fast, he was quick. I had to learn how to not compare myself and not want to be like somebody else. I had to be like myself. Like I said, I wasn't the biggest kid. I just had to work hard, and when my time came, now here we are.
All right, Troy,
great advice.
Talk about students who are going to be welcomed this year, future generations. Maybe there's a parent who's watching that says, my kid, I want my kid to be in the ACE program one day. What is that like? What is the approval process like to get in?
So we host a tryout. It's very well attended. Hundreds of kids show up, and with the hope that they can make the program. We probably only take 30 kids every year. So for us, it's a privilege to be in it, and we have people knocking the door down and want to be a part of this thing. We haven't expanded and gotten more teams, because we usually carry about 10 or 11 teams every year. We haven't gotten too big because we want to make sure we're still being intentional with those relationships,
right,
and staying close to those families. I think the moment you expand and you get too big of a program, you lose touch.
Yeah.
So we want to make sure, I know every family, I know every kid, I know their story. So we just want to make sure we're keeping that familial vibe with the program. And we do a tryout every year in July, and we're excited about the next up-and-coming class.
When you do the tryout, are you in for the next 5-6 years, or do you have to retry out every year? How does
You're in. It's a rites of passage. Like most of our kids, we've had situations where families have had to go in different directions, but it's always love with us. There's no hard feelings. Most of our players, they come to and they go through. And even when they come back from college, like now we're starting to get that first wave of alums who are coming back to coach.
Aww.
So now they're like the big brothers giving their advice and helping guys like Amir get to the next level.
Can we talk about signing day?
Yeah.
What can people expect? I know it's very exciting.
Oh, man, it's special. It's the biggest day for me because you get a chance to see all the hard work. The parents are crying, and I'm crying, and we're like just happy for the guys. And the biggest thing is being able to see them, their eyes and their faces light up when they put that hat on that says, I'm going to Miles College, right? Or I'm going to University of Missouri. Like it's just a very special moment. I mean, you watch them grow up. I remember when this dude was 11 years old running around, and now I look at him, he's going off to college.
Do you remember that, Amir?
Yes.
Signing day when you were 11, this would have been 6 years ago, right?
I didn't really think, I just wanted to play baseball. I didn't really think college was on my radar at the time. I just wanted to have fun.
He goes to Simeon, by the way.
Best high school in Chicago.
Best high school in Chicago. This is super cool. How many on staff with you that lead these teams?
Yeah, so we have 3 full-time staff, but we also carry about 35 coaches and our mental health professionals. So we have a very versed staff, most who have played either college ball or professional ball. So we make sure we're putting the right people in front of them. We're not just pulling Joe Schmo off the street to come and have a relationship with these guys. We want to make sure that they're getting top-notch training and that mentorship that they deserve.
Can we talk about how the White Sox are involved with your program?
Yeah, our kids don't pay a dime. They don't pay a dollar. Jerry Ronsdorf, I mean, it's crazy when other teams call and they want to know about how we're doing what we've been doing for 17 years, and we tell them the investment that the White Sox put in. You're talking about over $600,000 a year. When you tell them that number, they're like, oh, okay, I didn't realize it was that much of an investment, right? But also there's, the White Sox Charities does an amazing job of making sure the kids have access to, the mental health coaches and job training, and just trying to prepare them for life after baseball. If they go and be a professional player, great. I want them to come back and be good sons, fathers, husbands, dads. Like that's the biggest thing for us.
Absolutely. Well, the results are absolutely remarkable. 99% high school graduation rate. You are to be commended, and you as well. Congratulations to you. Best of luck. Keep us posted on your journey. And thank you for everything you are doing, Troy.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you guys.
All right, it's the ACE program through the Chicago White Sox. We have Amir Rule, student athlete, and Troy Williams, who's one of the ACE coaches. Thank you guys both so much for being here.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to take a quick break, and we're going to get some trending stories on a Monday morning when we come back.
I'm Jonathan Lawson.
Okay, what's trending? First of all, it's Groundhog Day. And if you didn't know, Anthony taught me last week, it's not Groundhog's Day.
Oh, you just said
Groundhog Day. But unfortunately, our groundhogs, they didn't agree.
No.
Punxsutawney Phil and our little Willie had two
Woodstock
different
Willie.
reports. So here's what happened in case you didn't get the news. The groundhog, Punxsutawney Phil, first of all, he says he saw his shadow, which means we've got another 6 weeks of winter. Not surprising since we've been living in a tundra recently. That is true. Punxsutawney Phil is generally considered unreliable with accuracy rates around 39 to 40% overall. Some analysis show slightly better results for predicting an early spring when he doesn't see his shadow than for predicting more winter. But his overall track record is closer to a coin flip. Woodstock Willie says the opposite. Which one of them was one of them was quite frisky this morning, Anthony?
It was Willie.
Willie was the frisky.
I said that repeatedly that Punxsutawney Phil looked like asleep at the wheel.
Yes.
He had no no get up and go.
Yeah.
But maybe he was scared because that guy hoisted him.
And there's a lot of
pretty
people there.
quickly.
Maybe it's loud.
Yeah.
He's like, I just want to go back to sleep.
Yeah.
But Woodstock Willie
buddy.
was climbing all over the fellow.
Yeah.
I saw him clawing away.
That's Phil right there. Willie was super
Willie.
enthused. Yeah, here's Willie.
Look how
here's
cute
our guy.
Woodstock is. We talked to them last week. I hope they had just the best weekend. Look at the turnout too.
Big turnout, and that's where the movie was shot. Groundhog Day. So that's why Woodstock is kind of the local mecca for this. And I will say that what's it? The National Oceanic and Atmospheric
NOAA. Yeah.
NOAA has tracked how accurate these two rodents are. Willie came in at number 7. Phil was way down at 17. So if you're gonna put any stock into either of these predictions, we're going with Willie.
Too bad Gabby's not in here. She really wanted to meet. Oh, she is. She really wanted to meet Woodstock Willie. She was pretty disappointed.
At the ceremony.
So sad.
Caitlin, what does it feel like, though? You're a meteorologist, so you go by the science, and we all respect that.
Sure.
But I want you to give me an intuitive answer to this right now. What is your intuition telling you about the way that the rest of the winter is going to go this year?
I don't know. So the question is 6 more weeks of winter or 6 more weeks of spring, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I think we've got quite a bit of winter still left in the docket. Yeah, unfortunately.
Okay.
But I'll go with Woodstock Willie.
Okay.
I have to.
Got to. He's our local guy.
All right, so next, what's trending? You name a snowplow finalist list, the 2025. Do you want to run through? Do you want to go bottom?
Well,
the
the number one is, it's going to be the most controversial, but it's also the most obvious this year. There it is, in true Chicago fashion, abolish ICE. Now, you can vote, right? This is all by vote.
Yeah, it's
so you can vote for
list.
6, and they at the city put abolish ICE at number 1, because these are the finalists, and there's 25 of them. So here are your top 5. So I don't know if this is in, actually, I'm guessing, I'm looking now, it is in alphabetical order. I didn't know if the folks over at the city were trying to, play with the voting, but this is alphabetical order. So abolish ICE, A, B,
yeah.
That's the first one.
Sure.
But that's going to be let's be honest. In Chicago, that's probably going to be the winner. Blizzard of Oz, the Blizzard of Oz, not bad.
Yeah.
Buckingham Ploughton. Too many of these, Caleb Chilliams, Chance the Scraper.
It has to be appropriate for this year. So like Caleb, that's good.
Yeah.
Chilliams,
Chance,
I like that.
He had with the Chance the Snapper.
That's cute. I like that too. So how does this work? So we've got 25 that we can pick from. So these are not like.
Yeah, and you can vote for 6. We're not going to read number 6 because we don't want to endorse our competition. It's Caitlin Coldy warned you about this. Oh, I like the Daniel Burnham. I'm kind of you know, Chicago history nerd, Daniel Burnham.
Derek Froze, Italian icebreaker.
Ah.
It's time for the plow collator. That's funny.
It's time for the. What else do we have? Oh, the Joffrey Plowley. That's a stretch.
Yeah.
Hey, Kevin McPlowister. That's not bad.
Yeah.
Little Home Alone connection right there.
Live, laugh, plow. Nah.
I kind of like that. Because I like making fun of people with the
live, laugh,
live, love signs in their house. Do you have one, Caitlin?
No, I don't, actually. Monty the Piping Plower. I like that.
Oh, the Sox were just here. Minnie Minoso?
Oh, Minnie Minoso.
Yeah, Minnie Minoso. The Chicago. Because the Cubs have the. Well, okay. I'm thinking of the. Well, they each have a street sweeper. Have you ever seen the little Chicago Cubs street sweeper?
No.
It's a cute little vehicle, and then
really,
it gets up the the leaves, and it's got a little vacuum underneath it, and it's adorable. It's like Zamboni level cuteness. And then the Sox have one too. So I'd like to see Minnie Minoso as a Sox fan.
Sure.
What else do we have?
Plowosaurus Sue.
Mueve la
Plow
nieve.
it through the garden.
Oh, I like that. Mueve la nieve.
Oh, move the snow is what that means.
That's good.
Do you like that one?
I like that one.
Is that one your favorite so
Yeah,
far?
I think that's making my top 6.
Okay. Plowosaurus Sue.
Through the garden. Plow it through the
Yeah,
garden.
I see Pope Frio.
There you go. Instead of Pope Leo. That's not bad. Nick, one of our intrepid directors, likes Sven Cooley. That's going way back the Sven Cooley days. Sven Cooley, not bad.
I don't get it.
And then neither of us got the 25. Herbs and Horts. Is that like a...
Herbs and Horts. No.
Herbs and Horts.
Herbs and Horts. Is this a person's name? This Isn't Florida. I like that one.
This isn't Florida. I kind of like This Isn't Florida because it's not, you know, too many of these are like the play on the words, you know, the puns. That one's just straight up, you know.
Yeah. Maybe we should name it Florida. That would be cute. Okay, can we talk about Bluey, please?
That's trending as well.
Yeah. Okay.
Bluey.
Bluey was crowned the most streamed show for the 2nd year in a row. Nielsen says it racked up more than 45 billion minutes of viewing on Disney+.
That's a lot of minutes.
And Grey's Anatomy took 2nd place with 41 billion. Stranger Things took 3rd place with 40 billion. U.S. viewers watched 16.7 trillion minutes of programming on streaming platforms in 2025. Okay,
That's a lot of minutes.
Here's the thing. Bluey is a beautiful cartoon. It has the brightest colors. The characters are all adorable. As an adult, it makes me happy watching it. You know those shows
And
you
you
watch
don't-
and it drives you like Coco Melon.
And you
can't stand it.
don't feel
bored.
and also like your kids are getting just
Good
fed
storyline.
junk.
Exactly right.
Darn it.
It's a good family show. And also, if you do, you get sucked in as an adult. Anthony was like, I don't watch my kids' shows with
No, I know. And then our executive producer, we were in our pre-show meeting.
Yes.
You guys know like certain plot lines. I was like,
Yeah.
wow.
But here's the thing. Bluey sucks you in, Anthony. You can't even help yourself. For example, this music comes on at this one of the shows is the mom, and she's in the kitchen, and the baby Bluey is walking for the first time towards his mom. And then she turns around and notices, and Bluey, she goes, why was I trying to walk towards you? And then her mom said, maybe you saw something that you loved. And it was because she was walking towards mom, and the music, it just guts you.
It gets you?
It's the best.
Are you welling up?
tearing.
Are you welling up a little bit?
We should be able to pull, maybe we could pull that clip. Maybe we'll have to show it tomorrow, but it is so darling. So I'm not surprised that Bluey was.
By the way, Stranger Things, 3rd place, 40 billion minutes. Like you mentioned, that is what my 10-year-old, my soon-to-be 10-year-old is watching that.
Not too scary?
I guess not.
Isn't there like a monster?
There is. It's called the Demigorgon. Demigorgon. And I remember watching season 1 and thinking, this is kind of scary. But listen, I believe I saw Nightmare on Elm Street when I was in 5th grade. And I survived. It kind of traumatized me. I was a little scared to be on the 2nd floor by myself for a few weeks after I saw that movie. But Theo's been...
That's fun. You could
good.
watch that with him.
Stranger Things, yeah, for sure.
Very
Great
popular.
show, great show.
Yeah.
We have another hour of Chicago Now coming up. I see Tia here.
I'd be curious to hear Tia's opinion on Bluey.
Then we got Gabby here.
Yes.
Waiting in the wings. They'll be back with another hour of Chicago Now right after this, everybody.
Hi, Hi, I'm Doe. Join
Just like that, it's a new week.
Yes, Monday.
A whole
I'm
new
feeling
week of Chicago Now. How was your weekend?
It was good, but let me just tell you about this Monday I had. How was your weekend? And then we'll get into.
Mine was good.
It was good. You went.
It was good. I went to Michigan.
Right.
We went to Bittersweet Resort, which is like a little ski hill. Nothing like crazy fancy, but
Did you ski?
I ended up not skiing because I told you last week I had that gut feeling
that something was going to happen.
And you know what? I'm glad. And guess what? I had a perfect day. I sat by this fire, both inside and outside, because they had a couple fire pits, and I just had myself a day.
Sometimes that's just the best way.
And then later on, I had a couple ciders. It was good. It was a vibe, and the weather was great. It was sunny. Yeah, it was just a good time with like 10 friends.
So did other people choose the option that you selected? And the reason why I asked that, because I'm just curious, were you kind of sitting alone?
Oh no, I was sitting solo, and I encouraged them. I said, hey guys, they're like, hey Gabby, we'll stay back with you. Like, look guys, all I do all day, every day is communicate. So I'm actually so good just sitting here by myself. Yeah.
I understand that.
It was
I just did, you know, the normal stuff. Took my daughter to swim. All of those things.
Yeah.
I've created a habit though, and I don't know.
Yeah, I told you. I saw this picture.
I'm sure maybe other parents can relate. It really started out, I want to just give it this disclaimer that I'm not the mom that believes a 3-year-old should be hanging out in the nail salon like that. It started out as not having a sitter.
Yeah.
And wanting that alone time to go to the nail salon, but not having anybody to rescue me and let me have that moment. So I was like, oh, well, it couldn't be that bad. My daughter's a girly girl, we'll take her to the nail salon. But then now it's an expectation of every time I go, she wants to go. And you saw the picture, you mentioned it because she's looking.
She has, this is story. She has her iPad, she's like this. She's getting her pedicure. She's clocked in. She's clocked in. She knows exactly what's going on with her little toes.
And she's watching the lady do it and was like, Mom, do you think she did a good job? And you know, so it's really started out as a bad habit, and it's not a cheap one.
No, it's not. But you know what, Tia? I think it's cute. I think it's really not it's harmless. Like she's hanging out with her mom for one.
That's true.
You know, she's also you're probably teaching her, okay, you know, she's getting a tip. Maybe you give her some cash to give to that person. So I think she's learning some skills. And also, there's so many people who go to the nail salon. It kind of bothers me. And don't like conversate with anyone, you know, like
they're just there.
A lot of the time, the person doing your nails, at least in my experience, was wanting to talk to you.
That's true.
Because once I say one thing, they start asking me questions and stuff like that. Yeah. And sometimes they, you know, are quiet, and that's my cue. Okay, this person just wants to get to work, and that's okay with me. But I think it's actually a good thing, Tia.
I thought it was too until by the time we were almost done, she started peeling off the nail polish.
Okay, well.
think our time is up.
Maybe it's an at-home mommy.
Yeah, I'm like,
salon then.
you don't deserve that. I paid for that and you're peeling it off. She's like, look, mommy, I can peel it off, and thought that was funny.
Oh.
So I think now she's down to maybe 3 nails per hand. Other than that, weekend was good.
But your nails look good.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that.
You're not taking anything off?
I wish I wouldn't have had to spend extra money for somebody that was going to peel it off. But here
That's
we
okay.
are.
I wonder if they'll just let her sit next to you, like in the little massage chair,
And just
chill
relax.
with her. Yeah.
I don't think I'd be able to get away with it now. Like I said,
Okay,
I've
you're
created
right.
a
Yeah,
problem.
You've created it.
I've created a problem.
Story.
So here we are in the month of February, day 2 in. Man, these months are rolling by, right? Well, this is Black History Month. And speaking of kids, it's very important to tell your children about Black History Month, but there's a lot of misinformation out there. So we're going to talk about that.
Yeah, with one of our favorites.
Yeah, with one of our favorite people to try to figure out what conversation do you have?
Yeah, Terrence
with your
Chappelle, he's
child?
coming in. Also, we're going to be talking to a veteran on
Yes.
his journey of healing. Actually, he kind of does this pretty intense, I would say, workout in order to deal with his anxiety, some of the depression that he's dealt with before in his life, but he's also encouraging other veterans to, hey, get help. And I feel like we hear that so often,
Yeah,
right? Like, hey, these veterans need help, and make sure you don't feel ashamed of getting help. But where do they go? No one's sometimes giving them the answer of this
You're
is
right.
where you need to actually end up, and this is who can help you. So we're going to hopefully give you some of that info. Maybe you can pass along to others you run along to.
Yes.
But also we're going through some trending stories.
Yes, we are. So I got to talk about this one because this one blew my hair back, literally. First of all, this is a whole new trend of, I think, men being forward about the fact that they're getting, these hair pieces, if you will. If you go on social media now, especially since we're talking about it, it's going to pop up in our algorithm.
Oh,
But
it is.
You've
Yeah, it already
seen the
has.
videos of men getting these hair pieces glued down.
Or transplants.
Yeah, transplants,
Their
that's a new
journey,
thing,
yeah.
yeah. And then you see all the people coming from Turkey in the airport. I've seen those videos. But this one kind of threw me for a loop. A lot of puns here, unintended. So what you're watching here, this is Jarrell Miller and Kingsley Ibe. I think I'm saying his name right. This was Saturday night. They're having this fight,
Yeah, it
right?
makes
Heavyweight boxing match. And watch, Miller got punched so hard that his ceiling was missing.
I want you to know,
Walking around with your ceiling missing. You know that song. That was his hair knocked
it's
completely
holding
off.
on for dear life.
But why? Here's my question, Gabby. Okay, listen, I wear hair extensions, okay? I don't think they would fall off like that.
No.
But if I was going to do something where it's glued, why would you do it during this event? Like, were you that confident going into it that you were going to be victorious, that nobody would punch you so hard that I mean, the glue is not that good, obviously. Why would he do this to himself?
Yeah, this is the first time.
Look at everybody looking. Look at how everybody in the crowd's looking like, wait, is that
But
hair?
you know what? Then he owned it, because we're not showing, I think, where he took the toupee off, ripped the rest of it off, and then threw it into the crowd. So he owned it.
Yeah, but here's my question. You knew, okay, you're in that environment, you're sweating, right? Because that probably loosened up the glue.
I don't know who
I'm trying to
gave
understand
him
it.
like an inkling that was okay, because obviously it would come off. You're fighting somebody.
But I will say there are people that get their units glued down like him that go underwater. It's never come loose. Maybe this was just
This is
a bad
this
job.
is
I
just
don't
different.
know. Why wear? Look at the other guy. He's accepted being bald. Look at him. And he's okay with it. He's not wearing a hairpiece. So I'm just curious, why this event? Out of all the times, what was it? Do you think my opinion is honestly that he did this to go viral. I'm not gonna lie. That was the
Honestly,
first
he
thing
might
I
have.
thought.
He might have, or I don't know, Tia, because I think that
telling
people, I think that people just like don't know. But I think he took it in stride. If he didn't know,
I think, Gabby.
Because if not, then he took it in stride, and he's doing the right thing. Like I guess he made an AI generated
Yes, he
post
did
of
video.
himself. Him driving
he's in
in
the
a
car driving.
convertible. Do we
Yeah.
have that video or no?
I don't know
That's
if we have that video, but it's
all right. Well,
insane.
you'll have to look it up,
And
or
it's
maybe we'll share it tomorrow.
Basically, the toupee is blowing off in the wind as he's driving. And at first, I thought it was real, but then I kept looking. I was like, oh, this is AI.
Okay.
And it's AI generated. But here's what I will say. If he did do it to go viral, maybe good for him. Maybe he's now the new face of Hair Club for Men. Is that still around?
I don't
Remember
know.
those commercials back in the day?
No, I do not.
Okay. it used to be a commercial, hair club for men. And you see these guys, you know, they go in there with a little hair, then all of a sudden it's like the chia pet, the pottery that grows,
Yes.
and then they come out with all this hair. So maybe now he's the face of a hair brand company or something, because
You know what?
that's
You
why
might
I
be
thought
right.
he may have done it to go viral.
You might be right. You might be onto something. I will say it's pretty incredible going on like TikTok and stuff and seeing some of these like hair transformation videos of people putting on toupees. I'm like,
Yeah.
no wonder. I mean, I will
get it.
say I'm not giving any flack to anyone who gets a hair transplant or a
either.
toupee, because if my hair were falling, I'd be the first one over there.
And sometimes not even just falling out, sometimes you want it longer. Sometimes you want to go short. You want to try a short do.
You want to
and
change it
so, you know, I can understand having that flexibility. I just don't know if that was the right event. That would be like me going on a vacation where I know I'm gonna be swimming, right? And I wear something with glue and I'm all underwater, and lo and behold, it comes out, you know, while I'm in the water. Although again, I will say there are people that get this done and they do scuba diving, all kinds of stuff,
you're
and
right,
it stays.
Tia. You're right, Tia. He had to have known.
He did
had
that
to
to
have
go
known.
viral.
Come on, you're getting punched.
Look at the
literally
people
in the
watching.
head.
That's the best part,
That's
the
the
fan
best part.
reaction. Throwing it to the crowd and
So
the fan
funny.
reaction is the best part. They're like, wait, is that his hair falling off? Because I don't think the crowd was quite, look at.
I was not ready for this. At first, like, I started like cracking up laughing, and then I started feeling bad, and for some reason I still kind of feel bad.
I don't feel bad.
Okay. All right.
I think he set that one up. Okay. This
You
is,
have plans for Valentine's Day?
I do?
Well, actually, I guess, yeah, I would ask
Technically-
early that. Should we call
technically-
early and ask?
Well, technically,
What's planned?
I'm already be doing something that day.
Oh, okay.
You get what I'm saying?
Oh.
What?
I don't know. You gave me a
Well, you know where I'm going. I just don't want the world to know. But you know I'm going somewhere.
I forgot.
Okay, forget it.
Tell me during the break. Tell me during the
Gosh.
break.
Okay, well, there's a new survey.
Wait, are you going to ask me what I'm doing?
No, because you didn't get what I was saying. What are you doing?
Yeah.
What are you doing?
See, I knew that you were up to some. What am I doing? Oh, I'm going to Florida. I'm going to have 2 days off, Thursday and Friday. You will not see me here. I'm going to a wedding in Florida.
Remember? You don't remember? Okay, you don't remember this conversation. Okay. Love letters for Valentine's Day. Well, a new survey says there's one gift people want above all others.
Oh,
is Valentine's
yes,
Day.
I remember.
Right, see? Not flowers, not jewelry. They want a love letter. What do you think about this? I
I think
agree
it's
with
so
this.
cute. I really love it. Do you think that Early's the kind of guy who would write
love
a
letter?
really long, like, romantic love
No,
letter?
I think he would have somebody else write it.
That's kind of how Brendan is too.
I mean, honestly, would he come up with the concept? Yeah, but would he actually sit down and write it? No, somebody else would write it.
See, and I
He'd have me write my own.
He probably would. Give
Yeah,
me
for
like
sure.
give me a couple points and I'll get through them. No, I love this, and honestly, I feel like one of my like love languages to other people is writing like long notes or like
Oh,
in cards.
okay,
I kind of
got
write
it.
a lot. Sometimes unintentionally, and just was brought to my attention about a year ago that I do write kind of a lot, and sometimes
That's
the same
nice.
message every year, but it's like,
Wait a minute. Wait.
but it's
The same message every year.
Tia.
So wait a minute. You're writing the same letter from
I'm
2024
assuming-
and 2025
no,
and
I'm just
2026?
assuming that it is because
Oh, okay.
because my highlight for like birthdays is I hope that it's a year of health, love, and happiness.
And you put that in every card. Or whatever
Probably.
you write.
Yeah, I could see myself. If I really reflect on it and I look at a majority of your cards, probably 9 out of 10 say that, yeah.
Do you remember the last time you received a love letter?
Do I remember? Yeah, I think so. Oh, for my wedding.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
But I kind of was the one who instigated that. Like, hey.
Yeah, I don't think.
Here's
Well, I don't
something
even
to
think.
write
I don't even think it's like to generalize and say, oh, it's all men. I think it's the world. Like most people aren't writing.
No, 100%.
You know, like
yeah.
even in the schools, for example, they're not teaching in cursive writing. So like, I don't think it's like encouraged for people to write. It's kind of like people think of writing as almost like the equivalent to snail mail, I think,
That's
for a lot of
true.
people. So I'm
And
not
we should do it
surprised.
more, because how special is it to run into like a love letter from an old family member, you know, like one of your
Yeah.
greats, and
I agree.
as a couple, because you're learning something through that, you know?
I think it's very interesting. So experts say it can be intimidating to profess your love and feelings on a blank piece of paper. So they've shared some tips. Most people using ChatGPT anyway.
That's true.
They're not going to tell you,
You're
but they
right,
are.
yeah.
Be genuine with your emotions. Express how you truly feel. Make sure you include personal touches like shared memories or inside jokes, and write about your future hopes with your loved one and what you're looking forward to.
Then you can help manifest it a little bit, right?
Yeah, I agree. I think that's nice.
I think so. Also, also it says here that if you need some extra help, well, ChatGPT, like you just said, or any AI.
Yeah.
But Grammarly, which also uses AI, just released an extensive guide with examples. They have examples for a significant other, a spouse, a new relationship, or a parent or a friend.
I think people should maybe make some type of like benchmark and say, at least once a week, I'm going to leave a letter for.
Yeah, that's true.
I think it's just thoughtful.
And I really think it's nice when people do like the open one. Remember when that was popular? It's
Yeah.
probably like 10, 15 years
remember
ago.
that.
But yeah, open one this, open one that.
Yeah.
And people still do it. I will say Grammarly is to blame for my spelling, because I've used Grammarly for way too long, and so
You can't spell
I'm
without
gonna
it?
blame. Yeah, I'm gonna blame this for why I'm a bad speller.
Are you a
I just want
bad
everyone to
speller?
know. You know, see, here's the thing. Yes. Because
Okay.
I'll write in scripts sometimes and I'm like, how do you spell this? And I'm like, and then I look back at something, I'm like, whoa, that was just not even close to correct. But since I use Grammarly so often, I don't really know how my spelling is because it just corrects it for me.
Understood. I think it's very difficult for me to write extensively because my brain is so used to writing in script format.
Yeah.
That when it comes time to really be expressive, I have a hard time because I'm so used to writing in short form.
That's true.
If that kind of makes sense.
Yeah, that would make sense. Sometimes
yeah.
I find myself in text messages being like really short, you know, like just like getting down to
I'm
business.
the worst.
Like I'm just getting down to business, but unless it's like with friends or like, you know, my husband or something, you know, like then it's like more excitement marks or sometimes with him it's just KK because you're just doing it to do it. But
So I write as I think. So I'll be like, sure, that sounds great. Actually, so that's one sentence. Actually, I think we should consider, that's another sentence. Wait a minute. Actually, no. Like that's how I write.
do you ever
It's
use a voice
not-
text?
Yeah, all the time, but it always gets what I'm saying wrong for some reason. It never understands
Every
me.
time I try using it, someone else is trying to like have a conversation with me, and then it starts catching on to that person's talking.
I write like literally in like thoughts, so it's never a complete sentence. It's like a run-on. It's horrible. I got to do better.
It is bad.
Okay, did you watch the Grammys?
No, because I go to bed at like 6 p.m. So the answer is no.
Okay, I did watch I did see the red carpet, so I saw a lot of outfits, and I was like, oh, those are beautiful. I thought Tiana Taylor really looked good. Other than that, I don't remember anybody else.
Well, that's why we
what's
have
the
recaps.
point?
That's why we have recaps.
That's why we have
Maybe we
recaps.
could try to schedule someone to come in and like do a little recap. I love those
I
kind
do
of segments.
love those too, the fashion.
It is nice.
I will say that it's interesting that this person is also headlining the Super Bowl because they did really well at the Grammys. Bad Bunny made Grammy history. He won Album of the Year for his, you say that because I can't, is it Debbie?
Debbie tirar más
Tirar
fotos,
más
which pretty much
fotos.
means like
Something pictures.
I should have taken more photos.
Pictures?
I think that's probably
Yeah.
the translation.
Well, that is the first Spanish language album ever to win the top prize, which is pretty impressive. And I don't think I'm really shocked by this one. Kendrick Lamar being a big winner, taking home multiple awards, including Record of the Year and Best Rap Album. I'm curious how Drake feels about that.
Ooh, he's not happy. I can tell you he's
Curious.
not happy.
Was he in the
to-
building? I'm
I
just
can
curious.
tell you that he wasn't happy. But I do know, the only thing I know about the Grammys, just because we had some recap on Good Day Chicago, was that there was a lot of these celebrities, you know, calling out ICE, including Bad Bunny.
Yeah.
And then I'm also seeing some backlash that people are literally going to they're like, I'm going to turn off my TV during his performance and then turn it back on.
Oh, for the Super Bowl?
Because they don't like how he spoke out against ICE.
Interesting.
But I didn't watch the whole speech because, for one, you know, they're on a time limit, and for two, his English isn't that great. I think he, you know, for the most part, he's pretty shy and reserved with that kind of stuff.
I know I saw trending this morning, I think I got his name right, I think it was Shabuzi, also had some statements about immigrants as well. And people were mad at him because they felt like he, in his statements, which I did not hear, they felt like he should have included Black Americans since it's Black History Month. And they felt like he left out that group because of, you know, slavery and all of that. So I never heard his comments, but I saw that trending this morning. But there were a lot of winners. One winner that's not on our page right here that I found out about this morning that I thought was really incredible is Freddie Gibbs, who's also a music artist who happens to be from Gary, Indiana.
Oh, okay.
Won a Grammy last night as well. So yeah, a lot of winners. Some, obviously, these names we've all heard of before.
Yeah, Billie Eilish, of course. Olivia Dean was named Best New Artist, an early highlight. Yeah, she was cute. I saw her, and then Lady Gaga. It seems like Lady Gaga performs at every single like award show, doesn't she? And she performed Abracadabra. Whoa. I don't think I've ever actually said that out loud.
It's okay. Trevor Noah emceed again, and I did see him trending this morning. I saw I don't understand what the clip was, but they said this was awkward. I guess he was taking some political jabs, calling out Nicki Minaj. Yeah, she's still at the White House discussing very important things with Donald Trump. So yeah, it was a lot of political stuff, which, you know, a lot of people get mad about that. They say that they feel like, you know, that's not the platform for it. You hear people say that, and then others say they support it, you know, knowing that the artists who are obviously very far removed in some ways from our everyday lives, you know, taking on, you know, some of the challenges of the average person. I'm just curious, what do you think about this? And if you want to answer, you don't have to. If you do, fine. But one question I had was, and I asked this on social media when Nicki Minaj came out with her support of Donald Trump, and one of the questions, they're telling us to wrap real quick, one of the questions I had is, do you separate the artists from their beliefs? You know, the music from their beliefs. Can you, do you, should you? I don't know. It's a question we could discuss later.
I think you kind of have to, just because, you know, you want to support someone as an artist, sure, but also as their own person. I mean, if they're like spewing really crazy things,
then separate them.
Then separate it. I mean, well, then you need to like acknowledge, okay, this person's like definitely in the wrong. But I think if it's just their political views, I think if it's maybe just their religion, again, if they're not talking about it constantly or really, you know, hurting people, then
it's interesting.
You gotta understand it.
It's an interesting question.
It's interesting.
All right. Well, coming up next, we're getting a wrap here. We got to move on. We're talking about navigating Black history on social media. We'll talk about it right after this break. We'll be right back.
Injured when you
Welcome back to Chicago Now. Of course, you know, social media is a place for some information, and some people say a lot of misinformation. And one of the topics right now that you do see some misinformation on is Black history. I know I did. I saw some stuff. I'm like, I hope nobody falls for this. I hope people know the difference. But sadly, a lot of people were sharing it. They didn't know the difference. Joining us to talk about this is Terrence Chappelle, principal of Chappelle Communications Group. Thank you so much for being with us.
Happy Monday. Thank you so much for having me.
Happy Monday. We are day 2 into Black History Month. What are some of the things that people you think are falling for on social media, or that they need to know is misinformation on social media when it comes to knowing Black history?
Absolutely. So we're really talking about media literacy, and I want to begin with this, that 1926, Negro History Week, 1976 officially became Black History Month, and then 2026, so we're celebrating 100 years
Yes, we are.
of Black history, innovation, creativity, and resilience. And so It has definitely changed in the context of social media. AI can be very disruptive, and so what you'll see is that, and Bernice King said this, she stopped putting my dad in AI voice, and they'll match it with modern language, and it will completely not be accurate. Or you'll have some TikTokers or some people on the right wing using Dr. King's voice to like really embolden their biases. Yeah. And so it's you have to, I think, some of it is labeled, AI, but a lot of it is not. And when you're dealing particularly with families, parents, and kids, pairing like kind of offline learning with some social media, because social media can come in a place of utility. And I always advise when it comes to this, parents, don't try to compete with the algorithm. Work alongside it. So like credible information that's coming from credible sources such as the Trib or organizations with the blue mark. Save that information so that your algorithm knows that this is resonating with you, and more accurate information will appear in your algorithm.
Terrence, I love talking about this, like just how to, media literacy really at the end of the day is what it is. Like making sure that kids, that anyone, no matter your age, knows what's right and wrong online. And do you think it's also just sitting down with your kid or sitting down with a friend or, an older person and saying, okay, here are a couple of videos, this is how you know it's AI? Because I'm telling you, you could do 5 swipes on your Facebook and you will run into something that's AI generated and it's not at first, completely known.
There is. So it's, and I mean, there's not specific stats on like how, when it comes to Black History Month and quote unquote like Black History Month content, who's falling for it, but 58% of folks have admitted to falling for AI. And so teaching kids, and really ourselves too, there's a difference between reconstruction and documentation. So like if it has like archival footage and the short form video, like archival footage that's labeled, that when you have content creators that are citing sources, credible sources that you can find offline, that's been around for a minute, that's very helpful too. So again, kind of really, when it comes to kids, like, I mean, as an adult, it was like, I almost fell for some AI stuff. Remember when the Pope had that little puffer coat? And I was like, oh, he's styling for Fallon. I was like, wait a minute. I was like, no, he's not. so I know if as an adult and as a communications expert, if I'm kind of like falling for a little bit too. So like again, kind of working alongside with that algorithm and having some offline learning as well, and then pairing it with those reputable content creators that are citing those sources that have that archival footage.
Do you think that in part, Terrence, people are falling for this because they're not really educated on understanding Black history aside from what's put in our face? And what I mean by that is, of course, you may know Martin Luther King because there's a whole day, that's been put into the history books. You remember it as a child. But there are some other people that you may be clueless on because nobody actually sat you down in a classroom. It's not a national day for it. And so you haven't had to learn it. Do you think in part it's because people, not just Black people, but people as a whole in our nation, don't go far enough to know more? So it's easier to fall for it if you don't know.
Absolutely. And with the advent of social media and the algorithm, Black history is always on. Black culture, it's arguably is the culture, and so it's something that shouldn't be seasonal. And so when you said it as a kid, it kind of reminded me of as a kid for through mainly Black history, we would perform these skits based on, I remember Langston uses Crystal Stare, and we would perform that, and so that just kind of stays with you. So I think kind of reintroducing kind of that off-site engagement outside of the algorithm, and then you do have content creators that are talking about unsung heroes, that not everyday people that you haven't really heard about that aren't necessarily celebrated. So I think when you combine kind of that offline learning, and then we still have books too. We still have books. We still have encyclopedias.
That's an idea.
I grew up in, not to age myself, I grew up in the age of encyclopedias, and so I think social media, for instance, like short form video is big right now. It makes information accessible, which is great, but also short form video, such as TikTok or Instagram Reels, are good entry point for curiosity, that should always be on, particularly when it comes to Black History Month.
Hey, you make a good point. You know, going to the book is the best place to go because
Library.
even on, I could, before these AI generated videos, you know, I kind of hit on that. Well, we have, it's just like people skewing quotes too online. You know, sharing a quote from so and so, and there's some language that's wrong in there, or again, you know, lean towards one way or the other. Are you still like kind of saying that sometimes?
Yes, Bernice King, again said stop using my dad's voice in AI, and when it comes to MLK particularly, or when it comes to really these very Malcolm X, these figures that everyone knows, that the only time we really hear from them, from their quote, is like when something bad happens or is a state of emergency. And so that's why Black History should always be on, is because it shouldn't be dependent on the algorithm. But you do see a lot of that.
Is there like a tip or some tips and tricks you would give a parent that maybe they are, you know, maybe their kid is going to have that book report due this month about Black history, and maybe they are going to go on a TikTok or Instagram, something that you can tell them that, hey, this is how you spot that this is misinformation? What would you say?
Absolutely. Well, first and foremost, like, what are you looking at? Let me look at your phone. And so just like, again, we can't declare war on the algorithm because we'll lose, and algorithm, again, is just opinion written in code. And so just kind of going through the algorithm with them, for instance, some Black content creators here in Chicago, The Trib, more of like an online news outlet, Black Chicago, and then Sherman Dilla, who's an urban historian. And so like kind of if they're going to be on TikTok and on Instagram advising like, here are some accounts that I advise you to follow, again, saving that information. Again, like just Black content creators, well, content creators really should be citing sources. They should be directing you to other places, just to kind of, that gives them credibility, right? And having that archival footage and going through the algorithm and that content with your kid, and like knowing the difference. And then if you see something that's AI, and I don't want to, I mean, AI can be very useful. You do have some AI. In fact, I'm just going to look at my notes here because I do want to talk about this a little bit because I think it's important. For instance, for AI, a part of it is they're highlighting the dual role of AI as a tool for elevating Black innovators in technology. So like Black in AI is driving inclusion, and so kind of working alongside it. So, but if you're a parent and you see something that's AI but it's not labeled, message them, message that content creator that like, hey, make sure that this is clearly labeled AI so people know that this is something that is a interpretation, not a historical documentation of it.
Or even the software. Like, for example, you can you know, send a message to Facebook and say, hey, you know, something ain't right with this video. Or Instagram or TikTok too.
And and I think that's important for people to just take the time to do, because in the long run, it's going to help a lot of people who are, you know, millions other who might see that that video that pops up. I want to get this in before, you know, we run out of time, but you know, Black History Month is February, but what are some lessons that parents, that people can take beyond February when it comes to Black history?
Black culture, it is the culture. I think in particular of Marsha P. Johnson, and which she was back in the 70s, was arguably, you know, kicked off the Stonewall riots. I would say that pushing for curiosity all year long, knowing about Black culture and Black issues, and that Black history is for everyone. Black history is American history. You know, while we amplify it in February, it is something that is all year long. And I think now more than ever, it's important that we elevate our voices, and that also that Black history didn't start in chains. That's not where Black history started. It's about resilience. It's about creativity, and staying close to the algorithm as a parent, and like making sure that you're working with your kid in conjunction with the algorithm and not declaring war on it.
Yeah. Some things too that I always tell people, even I started this with my daughter, when she was coming into the world, people were like, well, what can I get her, people want to give things, because you just had a baby. They're thinking diapers or whatever. I was like, no, just get books, all kinds of books, diverse books where she will see herself, books where she will see other people, all kinds of people, books about, because now you can even get books for like 3 and 4-year-olds that is about history, but it's told through like almost like a kid-like voice, so they understand. And so I think that's important too, to start, because kids don't see, they don't see black and white. Like, they don't see it like how, the world has made a lot of adults see it. But kids don't know the difference. My daughter, I think I told you this, my daughter was talking about her classmates, and she was like, yeah, and I couldn't understand who she was talking about. She identified the classmate as being a pink. She was like, she's pink. And I said, okay. It didn't help me in knowing who she was talking about. But my point is, they're not walking around like, oh, that person is black, they're different, I'm gonna stay away. That person is white, I'm gonna stay away. They're looking like a crayon box. And so it's our job to teach them young, but to not, sway them in a negative way. Just let them, exist and be kids and learn and be curious. And so,
like the curiosity, absolutely.
Yeah, and so that's why I think, a lot of times it's, that kind of stuff, the little books, like, teach them very young, like, oh, this is somebody who was a martyr in the Hispanic community. There's books like that. Oh, yeah. But you just have to be the parent that's going to make sure that you're teaching your kids that. And you can find that once you start looking it up, it's in your algorithm. It'll come find you.
Yeah. That's so true. All right, some maybe ending pieces. Maybe are there a couple of people that people can follow online that are reliable sources during this month and beyond?
Absolutely. So first and foremost, I would say you have nonprofit organizations like Center in Halstead, Equality Illinois. Equality Illinois is headed by the first Black transgender woman. Her name is Shannon L. Parker. She gave an amazing speech. Hey, Shannon, if you're watching. First start with these organizations that we know are, no matter what the season or the celebration is always putting out great information. In particular, when it comes to Chicago, Sherman Diller, he's an urban historian. You have Black Chicago, which is a platform that spotlights Black culture events and storytelling. And of course, The Trib, which is more of like an online news and media platform. And those are all indigenous to Chicago.
Yeah, they do a really good job too. They really do. Thank you so much for coming on, as always. Yeah, we always appreciate you. So stay with us. We'll be right back.
The social media.
To Chicago Now, as we were talking about at the beginning of the show, of course, many veterans, they go through this battle, but it doesn't always end, when they're coming home, right? There's a long road ahead. People deal with trauma differently, of course, and there might be physical and mental challenges after serving time. So we brought in Army combat veteran and wounded warrior Melvin Gatewood joining us and giving us a little bit of, an idea of what Rush University Medical Center is doing with the Road Home program. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Let's talk about this Road Home program. I know it's sponsored by the Wounded Warrior Project, but what services does it offer?
Mental health services. I in particular chose to go to Rush because I heard a lot about that particular program. We were there 2 weeks. You got a chance to, it's like an intensive outpatient program because they housed us at the, right across from the VA. I can't think of the name of that living arrangement that they had there, but we were right across the street from the VA, and they bused us to Rush daily, and it was just a great opportunity for me to deep dive into some things that I had been avoiding over the years.
Tell us about your journey and really, what did you learn about survivor's remorse?
So with my journey on April 19, 2005, I was injured in a Humvee explosion over in Iraq, and I lost a good friend of mine, Sergeant Tommy Little from Aliceville, Alabama. Being the driver of that vehicle for many years, I just kind of blame myself for it, even though I know in hindsight and technically I did not place that explosive device there. The enemy did, but it was just blaming myself. Could I went over to the left? Did I go too far to the right? Things of that nature. But dealing with that for so long, it really was bothering me. But as part of my healing, I started going back to his hometown of Aliceville, Alabama, and hosting memorial rucks in his memory for those individuals that might not knew of his ultimate sacrifice, so they can know about Tommy Little, and they can know about the ultimate sacrifice that he made for not just Alabama, but the United States.
Melvin, I apologize because I think the first thing I should have said to you is thank you for your service.
Yes, for sure.
And we're also going to be remembering Mr. Tommy Little here. You talked about the event that you put on, and I know, when talking off camera, we're talking about this muck racking for people who don't, or marching, that's what it is. What is it, and how is that helping you through your journey and potentially helping other veterans as well?
So rucking is a military term for carrying a heavy backpack from point A to point B. So when we were out in the field and we did any type of training, we would go out and put our tools inside of that rucksack. So we have everything that we need, from food to tools to dig a hole or whatever. But what I decided to do with the rucksack, I say that the heaviness of it, the weight, it symbolizes the hardships that veterans carry both in the military and after the military. So when I get veterans to come out with me to join me on ruck marches, I ask them, what are you carrying today? Are you carrying guilt? Are you carrying PTSD? Are you carrying financial burdens? What are you dealing with? And after the ruck, we want them to put down that rucksack, and we want to pick up resources like the Wounded Warrior Project from the Department of Veteran Affairs, or any type of local agencies that can support veterans in various ways as well.
Melvin, sometimes when people think of healing, they think of something instant. Like you're instantly, healed from this. Do you feel like your story, your healing is a journey that you will forever be on?
I do feel that way because look, like last year was 20 years removed from that incident, but I found myself calling Wounded Warrior Project and asking them to sign me up for that program at Rush. And even with me doing this, I often say, like, even with my job, a peer support specialist with the Department of Veteran Affairs, or what I do with the Wounded Warrior Project, it's always I'm helping others, but sometimes us as caregivers or one that's giving the help, sometimes we have to take a knee and get the help that we need. as well. So to answer your question, I do feel that it is going to be with me, that incident, for the rest of my life, but it doesn't have to get in the way of me being a good father, a good husband, or just a good friend.
Yeah, and I hope that, and thank you for sharing that message, because it really is important for others to hear that. You know, speaking of Melvin, I was talking to Tia about this. You know, a lot of times we hear you should, you know, hear of a veteran struggling, and oh, you should go find help. You know, like you should, don't be afraid or ashamed to go and get help. But a lot of times they don't actually tell them the roadmap of how to get help. You know, is it going to Wounded Warrior Project, maybe signing up with them and them leading you, you know, down the right path, or is it doing your own research? I guess, what would you say to that person at home who doesn't even know where to start?
To that person at home, I would tell them, start with the Wounded Warrior Project, because I say you have some veterans that fall that the Wounded Warrior Project can give aid to. Well, I'll take that back. The Wounded Warrior Project can give aid to any veteran that calls the Resource Center. Yes, we think about post 9/11 veterans, those veterans that served after 9/11. They have program that's specifically for them, but if they call the Resource Center, they can guide them in the way that they need. And I think the first step is just saying that you need help. I often say, with working at the Department of Veteran Affairs, that every veteran is not going to just walk in the front door of the VA and say, help me. That's why you have organizations like the Wounded Warrior Project that's going to be meeting veterans where they are, whether they're homeless on the street or they're in a supermarket somewhere. Wherever we're doing outreach, we can meet those veterans where they are.
What made you decide after, because you said it was 20 years that you called the Wounded Warrior Project, what made you decide at that time, this is the time that I should be calling? Why right now?
Well, my journey to recovery, it started right after I was injured and when I came home. So just like you mentioned before, it's not anything that's going to happen quickly. Of course, it wasn't like it was when I first got home, as far as having flashbacks every night and things of that nature. It was more so me realizing that for so many years I had been pouring into others and I had been putting my own care to the side. And then it was like things started happening as far as I could hear someone else's story, and it'll trigger me to the simple fact of, okay, it used to didn't bother me to hear about someone Humvee explosion, but then when I started hearing a lot of these things, I said, okay, Melvin, you're becoming a little more sensitive to these issues. It may be time for you to go back and talk about some things that you were dealing with. And it was very helpful, because with that program there at Rush, it's not like your traditional therapy as for you'll see somebody once a week. You actually saw someone every day, and we did a lot of different things like mindfulness, meditation, acupuncture. So it was a lot of different tools that they gave us while we were there at that program.
Wow, so it was really like a getaway. I know that you talked about it here, you know, with your first answer, but it really was, hey, we're going to give you the means of transportation. We're going to give you, you know, the space, the program. And how long was it, did you say it was?
It was 2 weeks, and I really enjoyed my time there because I have family there in the Chicago area. So it was days that my uncle, he would come and pick me up, and we did an outreach with his church in Bellwood. And my cousin would pick me up one day, and we went and visit other family members. So I really enjoyed my time there. It was 2 weeks.
All right, Melvin Gatewood, again, thank you for your service, and thank you for being so open, because I know some of this stuff is really hard to talk about. Go back in time and talk about it, but we appreciate you coming on our show today.
Thank you very much for having me.
All right, it was a pleasure.
Thank you, Melvin.
Yeah, thank you so much for your service. I don't think we say that enough, you know, to all of these service members that we've talked to on this show. We have a lot more coming up here on Chicago Now. We have about a little less than 15 minutes left. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
I'm taking on
back to Chicago Now. It is 11:49, but already maybe you're like me. You can think about dessert early. What's your favorite kind of cheesecake?
Favorite kind of cheesecake, dulce de leche. Easy.
Okay, that is pretty easy. Mine is banana.
Ooh, banana.
The banana cheesecake from Cheesecake Factory, but I grew up on Eli's. That is a Chicago staple.
Oh, it is.
Let me get that out there. But the banana cheesecake over at the Cheesecake Factory, I can do all the time.
You know what? I'll eat any of them.
They're all good.
Any of them, except if they cover with nuts. I don't like a bunch of walnuts and peanuts.
So they have a turtle.
Almonds.
You wouldn't like probably the turtle.
I'm good. That's actually the only thing I'll say no to.
Well, maybe you like the Cheesecake Factory too, and they are closing some of their locations. The only thing that is made in-house at the Cheesecake Factory is actually the cheesecake, or I should say it is not. I should say it's not. It's actually shipped in from the factory, but it has dedicated teams that makes everything else fresh.
It's a scratch kitchen.
Considered to be a scratch kitchen, which I didn't know that, but it kind of makes sense because they had a period not too long ago where they had, remember you would open up their menu, you felt like you were reading a book?
Yeah.
They got rid of a lot of that stuff on there because it would just sit. And by it being a scratch kitchen, they were making that stuff from scratch. And so it was just a waste of inventory.
Makes sense. You know, they did a wave of some Cheesecake Factory closures a while back. I think it must have been like 8 years ago, sir. But I looked up what closures are happening in 2026, and it says 4. Friendship Heights in Washington, D.C., another one in Baltimore, another one in downtown Seattle, and then in Memphis, Tennessee, there's one closing.
The one that I've gone to probably the most over the years that I've been back living in Chicago has been the location in Orland Park. I used to go there all the time for their happy hour. Really good happy hour.
The OP?
For sure. Yeah. Do people call it that?
That's what I call it.
Okay. The OP. I guess that could also apply for Oak Park.
Yeah,
OP.
no. Okay, now let's
That's
settle
cool.
this.
No, I like
settle
that.
this. OP is Orland Park. You spend a lot of time there.
I've never heard anybody say it, but let's go with it. Sounds like a good idea. Another scratch kitchen that I love is the Texas Roadhouse location.
Texas Roadhouse. I didn't know that was scratch kitchen.
Giant,
Actually, literally any of these other than Cheddar Scratch Chicken or why do we keep on saying that?
Kitchen. It is hard to say. Scratch kitchen.
Scratch chicken.
Kitchen. And then Chipotle, Five Guys, because they're basically letting you watch them make everything from scratch.
Yeah.
Which Texas Roadhouse, you don't really, well, I guess it is an open kitchen. You could essentially just sit in there and watch.
Well, because you see the like meat that's laid out, right? And you can pick your steak and stuff like that. In-N-Out, I knew was a scratch kitchen just because I thought I said chicken again. Because when you're going through the drive-thru,
sleepy, that's
you can see,
all.
oh yes, 100%. Because you can see them putting the potatoes in the little like fry maker. Yeah, fry cutter.
Yeah.
It's so cute.
I love In-N-Out, especially lettuce style. I don't know what they call it, but we put it on lettuce.
Oh, yeah. What do they call that?
Vegan style.
No,
Protein
style. That's
what they call it. Yeah.
And then also animal style because it has
the fries and stuff.
And the onion.
Yeah.
Everything.
Oh, yeah. Animal style.
It's so good.
Oh, I can fly to Vegas right now.
It is so good.
That's the nearest one, I think, to us at this moment. Anyways, laundry. Now, when it comes to doing your laundry, do you have to travel outside of your apartment?
Luckily, no, but I have had an apartment where I had to travel down, and it was terrifying.
Frightening, to say the very least.
Especially as a single woman, you know, like that's when I was living by myself. I was not that familiar. I was also doing laundry kind of at weird times because of my shifts and stuff. So I don't play around. I'm glad I have that laundry in my
Especially like if you live somewhere like Chicago where you got to go into the bowels of the building, down deep down in the basement. Okay, you got to check out Hits Millsy. I think I'm saying her name right. You got to see how, or Hi It's Millsy. That's what it is. I said It's Millsy.
Scratch.
Hi, it's Millsy.
Hi, Millsy.
You got to see what she's got going on when it comes to trying to do her laundry down in the basement. Take a look.
So this is my staircase going down to the basement. Through this door. Now, you can pick either side. This is where my laundry is, and I gotta check this corner. Look at this. And then I gotta do my laundry in hopes that nobody's behind me.
I pray nobody's behind you. Hi, it's Millsy. I don't know. We tried to do some digging to see where she lives. This looks like, to me, a building somewhere in Illinois. It just does. The basement.
Although I grew up in a house with a basement kind of like this, and our laundry was also down there. Not this scary, not this far deep into the basement, but still, like, it was weird. It was like almost like they blew out a brick wall down there. Like someone did just their own kind of demo, and yeah, it was pretty terrifying.
But when she first goes down here, I thought it was a person. Look right there. It looks like somebody's sitting right there. Look, it's no way I would have kept going.
No way.
In the dark.
She's got to get rid of that. That's crazy.
Okay,
well,
it's tough. It's tough when you live in an apartment, though.
It is. Once you get that laundry in your unit, oh,
game changer.
Game changer. You're right.
It really is.
You're right on that.
Okay, we got to talk about regular maxing trend.
You said you like this. It's
I do like it. I didn't know what it was, but now I get it.
And Gen Z, it's taken it off. It's kind of similar to the whole analog mindset. We talked about that last week.
Yeah.
It's pretty much where people intentionally become regulars at local coffee shops, maybe a cafe, a bookstore, or something, and they get to know the person as you do, pretty normal.
Cool.
Yeah, and you guys start chatting. They know your name, all this kind of stuff. They say it's being more intentional with where you go, with where you shop. And then also you're kind of building those communication skills or feeling more togetherness, feeling more community oriented. And
I like it.
I liked it too.
Because when you come in, they'll be like, hey, Gabby, having your regular? You know, they know you versus like some of these places that are like almost like big box style.
You know, can I tell you, I was mad, and some people in here know about this. I was going to a coffee shop in the West Loop pretty often. We only have 2 minutes.
Okay.
Pretty often, and we had this. We had this good rapport, right? We're talking. They knew my name. I knew their name. We were chilling. One day I went there on a Wednesday, and then I went there on a Friday. They just said nothing to me. Closed.
Oh, they were closed?
Closed.
Shut down?
Closed.
They didn't tell you they were going to close?
No.
Maybe they thought you'd make a news story out of it.
Maybe they did.
They didn't want to be on the news.
That's true, but I was pretty hurt, to say the least. And then there goes that coffee shop. Well, they have other locations. They have other locations, so I've been able to visit them. And actually, one of them transferred those locations, and she said, yeah, I'm sorry about that, but they weren't supposed to say anything. But I thought we had that, you know.
That rapport? Yeah, I guess not.
Relationship? Guess not.
Nope. Sometimes you learn the hard way, Gabby.
Well, hopefully we do. We're not going anywhere, okay?
Yeah.
Here at 11 o'clock.
Have this rapport.
We'll be here the rest of the week. I promise you that.
We will see
Vacation next week. No one's counting.
Happy Monday, everybody. We will see you back here on Tuesday. Have a great, safe, warm rest of your day. See you tomorrow.
I'm Jonathan.